And then, of course, you've got Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden is far and away ahead in the polls. That doesn't mean he'll stay there, but right now he's far and away at the head of the polls. And of course, he's got the name recognition, and a lot of these early polls are about name recognition. But they're selling him this way. Like, here's Chris Matthews. Here's the way they're selling him. He is the working guy because that's, he's a working class guy.
But he also, on Saturday, coming up, the 18th, he's going to the Rocky Steps at the Philadelphia Art Museum. He's going to, the essential blue-collar guy from South Philly, Italian guy, Italian stallion, the one that never got a shot, and he finally gets a shot at the title against Apollo Creed. That is the dream of the working-class guy in Philly. And Biden seems like a guy, he once said, I wasn't part of the 60s. I wasn't a Bernie guy with a bullhorn yelling at the administration building.
So he's Rocky fighting Apollo Creed. What's the matter, Chris? Don't you like black people? How come you're not rooting for Apollo Creed? So, all right, just a little leftism seeping into the show there. But that's the way they're selling him. He's Lunch Bucket Joe. He's an ordinary guy, and you're supposed to fall for that. But my problem with Biden, interestingly enough, I mean, I do think he's way too far to the left for me. But my problem with him is he's a fraud. He's always been a fraud. He was a plagiarist. He plagiarized speeches. He plagiarized papers in school. He's a phony guy. And when I say this, what I mean by that is he's a weather vane. He goes in the way that he thinks he should go. There is a new tape that's resurfaced of him in 2006 when he was a senator. And let's not talk about him as an outsider, right? He's been a senator for 150 years. And here he is saying that he supports a border fence and strict restrictions on people who hire illegals.
I voted for a fence. I voted unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it. I voted for 700-mile fence. But let me tell you, we can build a fence 40 stories high, unless it changes the dynamic in Mexico. And you will not like this. And punish American employers who knowingly violate the law when in fact they hire illegals. Unless you do those two things, all the rest is window dressing. Now, I know I'm not supposed to say it that bluntly, but they're the facts. They're the facts. And so everything else we do is in between here. Everything else we do is at the margin.
So everything else we do, if we don't transform Mexico, if we should build a fence. If we don't transform Mexico and penalize people who hire illegal aliens, we're not doing everything else we do is at the margins. Is he going to stand for that? Still be that guy? You watch, because he drifts wherever the wind blows. He drifts wherever the wind blows. One of the things I really hold against him is the way he treated the war in Iraq, because after all, many people, including one of his sons, I believe, was in the war on Iraq. And he started out with George W. Bush and every other Democrat, every other one, including Barack Obama, including Hillary Clinton, every one of them believing that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. This is cut number 6. He was saying the same thing as everyone because that's what the intelligence community was telling them.
We know he continues to attempt to gain access to additional capability, including nuclear capability. There is a real debate how far off that is, whether it's a matter of years or whether it's a matter of less than that. And so there's much we don't know.
By the way, it's really hard to find this stuff on YouTube. It gets cleansed from YouTube when you go back and look for it. I happen to know where this cut was, so I could find it. But then later, when things started to go sideways in Iraq, he was not so big a supporter. And when George W. Bush finally said we need a surge, he was with the Democrats wholeheartedly and opposing it. Here's another very difficult to find clip of Biden begging Bush not to go for the surge.
Funding limitations on the President of the United States, which we constitutionally can do during the Vietnam War. And again, this is not to embarrass him. This is not designed to say, Mr. President, you're wrong. This is designed to say, Mr. President, please don't go do this.
Then the surge worked, okay, and it worked, and it was as Obama was taking office, not not when he was in office. It was as he was taking office that the surge clearly worked. In the last month before Obama took office, I believe there were no American casualties. I may be wrong about that, but there were very few or no American casualties in Iraq. The surge had worked. When the Iraqis saw that we were going to come in force, they started to join us, the Iraqi people, and they started to forge a political solution that they would not have forged had it not been the surge. And Biden, in one of the most unbelievable moments, gave the credit for that to Barack Obama. This is cut number 8.
I am very optimistic about Iraq. I think it's going to be one of the great achievements of this administration. You're going to see 90,000 American troops come marching home by the end of the summer. You're going to see a stable government in Iraq that is actually moving toward a representative government. I've been there 17 times now. I go about every 2 months, 3 months. I know every one of the major players and all the segments of that society. It's impressed me. I've been impressed how they have been deciding to use the political process rather than guns to settle their differences.
It's amazing to me that he then credited Obama, who then pulled out of Iraq, dumped the achievement of George W. Bush, and let ISIS be born by pulling all our guys out. That was on Biden's watch. He was the vice president, and he was crediting Barack Obama with that the entire time. I mean, that is who the guy is. Robert Gates, who was defense secretary under Biden, wrote in his memoir that he loved Biden. He thought he was a great guy, and he was wrong about every single foreign policy decision. And he was asked about that comment on Face the Nation.
I stand by that statement. He and I agreed on some key issues in the Obama administration. We disagreed significantly on Afghanistan and some other issues. I think that the vice president had some issues with the military, so how he would get along with the senior military and what that relationship would be, I think it would depend on the personalities at the time.
He's a peer of yours. He's about a year older.
Yes.
You think he's right for this moment?
I think I'm pretty busy and pretty active, but I think having a president who is somebody our age or older, in the case of Senator Sanders, I think it's problematic.
You know, this is the problem. Again, it is not the people. Obviously, I'm a conservative because I think my ideas work better. I think freedom works better. And I think freedom is important. I mean, like Myron was saying, this is a new thing on the face of the earth. The stuff that the Democrats are selling, it's an old thing. When Woodrow Wilson came and called himself a progressive and said, you know, oh, now we need the experts running things, that's not progress. That's regress. That is going back into the past. And I think that the freedom of the people, the freedom that gives you dignity, it means that you got to figure things out. It means you got to take responsibility. It means you got to pick yourself up when you fail. It also means that you've got to depend on your neighbors, and your neighbors have to form communities, and they have to be in communities that will turn to you, and churches that will help you. You know, that's why all of the founders said this is a constitution for a religious people, because they knew we needed community, we needed faith, we needed the ideas that come out of Christianity and come from Jesus of loving our neighbors and taking care of the least.